My name is Chris Sousa. I'm the fitness officer at King Campus. Welcome to today's episode of Ask the Trainer. Today, we're going to be going over isometric training and compare it to your traditional weight training. I will be joined by Kim Beno from Seneca at York. She's going to jump on for today's session as well, and we'll both kind of go over examples of different kinds of training. And what makes isometric training different from regular weight training. So before we begin, I'll just kind of go over different kinds of muscle actions. Isometrics is the first one we'll kind of touch on. So that involves no movement at all within the muscle. So that's something like a push-up in your mid-range of motion, where you're not pressing or lowering yourself, where the muscle's not really changing in the length. It's not, the joint also isn't changing. Concentric movements is when the muscle is shortening. So something like a push-up when we're pressing from the ground, that would be the concentric phase of the movement. I'm just going to let Kim in here. Eccentric movement is when the muscle actually lengthens. So from a push-up, be the lowering of the push-up. Hey Kim, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Just kind of giving a brief overview of different muscle movements, the different small differences between concentric, eccentric, isometric, that sort of thing. So welcome.
Thanks.
So I guess depending on your goals, you might want to introduce some isometric movements into your workouts. For strength training, there's definite benefit to isometric movements. It's really good at preserving strength and increasing strength. Unfortunately, for muscle mass, because there's no real breakdown of the muscle tissue, it's not as good for hypertrophy or muscle building. But for strength training, for sure, there's lots of benefits, neuromuscular benefits as well. Do you play around with any isometrics, eccentrics, anything like that in your training?
Lots. So in the muscle conditioning classes, we do a lot of isometrics, so squat holds. We hold bicep curls at 90 degrees. I do it with a lot of sport training as well, to kind of gain some power and some balance. I know I use it for soccer training. We do a lot of squat holds and then power out into a dive.
Right. Yeah, it's really good for rehab as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's for rehab. There's very low chance of injury, right? Because you're not the joints aren't moving and the muscle's actually not increasing. It's not lengthening or shortening. But there's a lot of actual good stuff going on within the muscle. Just nothing visible happening.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of. So do you want to kind of just give a couple examples of isometric movements that you would do in one of your typical classes that you run for Seneca?
We do like a squat. So we go down and we hold at the bottom, and we just hold and hold and hold until I say let go. And then to kind of balance that, we do some pulses, so small movements up and down, which really starts to burn. But you can feel the difference when we're down in that squat hold and we hold for a bit. When we come up, you feel a little bit of a difference in the strength. And then it burns. We'll do high planks. High planks are a good one as well, which stabilize the core. We do, like I said, the bicep curl, we hold at 90 for like an 8 count, 16 count, something like that. They can increase, they can decrease as we go through the program. Lunges, holding a lunge down in the bottom. That's a lot of fun. All of those cool things too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's a good application. I like using it along, for hypertrophy strength training, along with concentric eccentric movements, because it's a form of intensifying the exercise, right? And this, I guess the strength and conditioning, that like a lot of coaches will use it as either at the beginning, before they actually do a movement, they'll hold like a super maximal, which is a fancy way of saying something that's too heavy, like a super maximal weight for, say, a bench press. So you would lock it out, hold it, rack it, and now when you go to do your set with a lighter weight, your body's primed, right? So your muscles are all firing. You're recruiting a lot more muscle fiber, so you might actually be able to handle more weight. It's a good technique that I see used in strength training a lot for sure. But for hypertrophy, holding, like you said, doing like a 90-degree bicep curl and holding that position, like midway through your set is a really good way of fatiguing the muscle for sure. While we're all at home too, if you don't have a lot of weights, it's a great way to create a lot of that, to create a lot of what's the word? I guess fatigue within the muscle. So if you're used to curling 20-pound dumbbells and at home you only have access to 10-pound dumbbells, a way of making that exercise more effective is to hold those isometric contractions in the middle of your set, so that you're not necessarily using heavier weight, but you're getting as good of a workout, if not better.
So remember to bring the belly button back towards the spine to engage those inner core muscles there, the abs, and it really works too.
Yes, for sure. So those are the isometric movements. Basically, it's when the muscle doesn't shorten or lengthen, and there's really no movement at the joint. The eccentric would be the lowering phase of a bicep curl, or the lowering phase of a bench press. Or a lowering phase of a squat, a lunge, that sort of thing, and that's when the muscle's elongating, stretching. So a lot of most of the benefit for hypertrophy happens at that phase, because that's where most of the damage is happening. Sounds counterintuitive that you want to damage your muscle, but that's actually how the muscle grows, right? It's definitely of benefit. And it causes damage, but also a lot of like for conditioning as well. It's if you're doing that for a group fitness class, employing some of those. I'm sure you torture a lot of your a lot of your participants with those. But how do you like using eccentrics in your classes?
We do like counts. So when you do fitness classes, it's always counts based around number 4. So we would do we'll go back to bicep curls, because everyone kind of knows what a bicep curl is. You bring it up for 1, and then you lower down for a 3 count. So in that motion going down, you actually have to hold that weight against gravity and slowly come down. And it does, you feel it. And like we can bring it up for 3 and down for 1, which is a little bit slower on the 1 up. And then you can do like count to 4 up and count to 4 down. So anything that's slower on the way down really pulls on those muscles and kind of gets them longer and stronger.
Right. Now, how would you progress? Say you're progressing using eccentrics. How would you progress from week to week? Like a second, 2 seconds? How much slower would you do it from the week before?
Well, you always go down to that start position. So we kind of stick on that count of whatever it is for. But you could just add in more. You could add in less. Usually, like the muscle conditioning class is it's weird because we only have access to so many weights. But
right.
So we can follow it down with so up for 1, down for 3, and then you can always change it from 3 up to 1, or bring it down for 4. You can bring it down for 8. It depends on the count of whatever you're doing in that class. It's kind of a weird one, but it's a lot of fun in these classes to do that. Get some variation, and I've noticed that a lot of people have trouble doing the down. They're okay with up and then straight down, but holding on the way down is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, I definitely find it takes a lot more coordination to lower weights. A lot of people are, it's easy to blast through that concentric phase, but a lot of the time you'll see people who probably need to lower the weight a lot. I think that's a good signal to slow down and maybe if you can't handle the weight on the way down, you shouldn't be using that much. So I think that's kind of a good way of testing out to see if you should be using that certain amount of weight, right? It shouldn't be coming crashing down on your chest, or you shouldn't be hitting the bottom position of a lunge or a squat. Probably means, even with just body weight, like it's pretty difficult to do a single leg squat or a lunge slowly in the eccentric phase, right?
Yeah, especially on a lunge, because it really brings your balance into play as well. Because your one leg's forward and you have to make sure that you're going straight down to keep it that way. And a lot of people do wobble because there is that, like there's a little instability in the ankle, which is also helping you control, and then your core and shoulders and all that. So it is a really good body weight exercise to try if you're looking to change things up. Do that slow down lunge, like go down for a count of 3 or 4, nice and slow, and control it.
And you don't even need to progress too quick from those either. Like, it just a 1 second longer rep is going to create a lot of delayed onset muscle soreness or DOMs within the muscle. So a second or 2 is all you need, to progress every other week, right? Especially if you're using weights for it. What's your favorite? What's your favorite isometric and your favorite eccentric exercises?
Oh, my favorite eccentric one? You know what? I like squats. Squats are a huge part of my workout, but like doing that very, very slow to the bottom squat and then power up. I love that one. Isometric, I love high planks. They're a good one too. And then throw it into like a downward dog and then come back to a high plank. That's
What is a high? When you say high plank, what does that mean?
On your hands.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I call them high planks. Everyone has a different name for them. One person's like, those evil things, and I'm like, they're not evil. But yeah, when you're up on your hands,
you're in a push-up position on your toes, and your hands are hands shoulder width apart, or where should your hands be?
They can be shoulder width, yeah. So they should be directly underneath your shoulders, to protect that shoulder joints, and you're just straight across like a board.
Nice. I like it. Good. I think I like.
You can do mountain climbers. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. It's a good plank to learn how to do statically first, and then you can add other stuff into it.
Maybe if you're doing isometrically, maybe a weight on your back. If you progress to a point where it's you can hold it for more than a minute, probably time to increase it, or you just use one hand or one leg, bring one leg up. I really like the isometric, I guess, 90-degree pull-up. So you just hang from a pull-up bar, and then you stop in this position here, hold that. Good for the shoulders and obviously the muscles in the upper back. And then eccentric movement, I really like. Do you know what a Nordic raise is? So encyclopedia of movements, body weight movements. So you like anchor. So you go down into a push-up position. So you can slide your heels under a couch or a chair. Basically, something that's gonna keep your feet against the floor. Okay, so now you're on your knees.
Okay.
You're gonna go down into a push-up, like the bottom of a push-up position. I should probably just show you guys. Oh no!
No. Demonstration going on.
So here. All right. I was trying to bring that down so you can see. So you go down into the bottom of a push-up position on the ground.
Yeah.
And contract your hamstrings and your glutes, but what you do is you push yourself up. So
okay.
That's the concentric part of the movement. So when we want to load the eccentric, we slowly lower our chest towards the ground. So I'm against the couch, and then I'm going to lower my chest down slowly in an eccentric movement.
It's like a back extension on a ball.
Similar to that, yeah. But you're actually using your hamstrings to lower your body.
Okay, I've seen that exercise before. I just don't do it, so I don't name it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really tricky to find ways to train your hamstrings at home, right? So
Yeah.
that's a really good bodyweight exercises to do. And honestly, anybody will start with the eccentric portion because it's really tough to do the concentric end of it, especially if you haven't done it before. So it's a good hamstring glute exercise too. But yeah, it's just you just lower yourself slowly, 3 to 4 seconds, and then you push yourself off the floor. So you're using your chest because there's not a lot of people will be able to use their hamstrings to curl themselves back up again.
No.
So it's yeah, those are I guess my favorite isometric, favorite eccentric movement. Um, I'm gonna do a shout out. So if you do next semester, we'll be doing a at-home hypertrophy program, and that will definitely be in the program. So if you don't know what those are, you'll find out. They're fun. So that's basically all I wanted to cover today. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on that subject? All right.
No.
Awesome.
It's not one of my favorite subjects, but very, very important.
It's important to kind of do all different kinds of muscle actions, not just train the same aspect, right? Especially if depending on your goals. So it's good to touch on because sometimes we get caught up in just doing the same things over and over again. So it's nice to kind of venture out there, try different things, try holding in the middle of any exercise, try holding that middle position, try lowering it a bit slower. You'll find you'll be pretty sore the next day, which is sometimes not a bad thing, depending on the soreness, right?
Yeah. And if you're having trouble remembering which is which, this is the way I learned it in my course. So using a bicep curl, you're bringing it in, right? So isometric is here. It is locked in. And eccentric is elongate.
Eccentric.
Yeah.
Beauty. Perfect. Awesome.
That's how I remember it in my course. My teacher was a little bit weird, but
It'll stick now then. It'll stick now.
Who knows?
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for joining us. Until next time, if you have any questions, shoot them to either one of us via email or Instagram, or you can message this page as well. Alrighty. Until next time, be well. We'll see you later, Kim.
Bye, Chris. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.